And we move at light speed. Last of a dying breed. My Akis move at light speed.
I can feel eyes on me everywhere I go. Not paranoid.
Now is admitting that the Hunter Biden laptop is real. And, we remember from the debates with Trump bringing it up to Biden and Biden saying it's bullshit and it was a lie. A flat out lie. Everybody knew it was a lie. The New York Post had that story that was banned from Twitter, which was just outright crazy. That one of the oldest newspapers in the country.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's going to go back and apologize to them.
No one's apologizing.
Director, a bunch of questions from this. Let me just start with this. How much does the source matter, right? So you hear the story of this laptop. We don't know a lot. We do know that the way that this information is getting out is through Steve Bannon and Rudy Giuliani. How much does the source matter here?
Well, source matters a lot, and the timing matters a lot, I think. And to me, this is just classic textbook Soviet-Russian tradecraft at work.
They don't just love a good story, they love a narrative, and they're willing to ignore facts to push that narrative. That's what scares me. What scares me is, I think there are objective journalists that work for the Washington Post and New York Times, and there's real solid journalists out there. But I don't necessarily know if you're getting all the information. I think it's safe to say that
you're not sure.
Some is afoot. I mean, the New York Times just now is admitting that the Hunter Biden laptop is real. And, we remember from the debates with Trump bringing it up to Biden and Biden saying it's and it's a lie. A flat out lie. Everybody knew it was a lie. The New York Post had that story that was banned from Twitter, which was just outright crazy, that one of the oldest newspapers in the country.
And saying, I'm complaining about this is horrible. Why are they saying, why are we having to deal with this? And I'm paraphrasing, but Joe breezes past this concern and does not seem very concerned about Natalie Biden at all. Natalie is his granddaughter, 14 years old, who is in the presence of his son, who has addiction problems, who has clearly been using drugs in a way that would endanger a child. And so lots of questions raised. Yes, there's an underage child involved, at least one that we can confirm, and that is Natalie Biden, the niece of Hunter and the granddaughter of Joe. Oh, going back to your question about the prostitution ring and the human trafficking element, we cannot confirm for sure what the scenes that we saw entail, whether or not they were prostitutes or not, or they were trafficked. We cannot be for certain, but they're certainly lewd, they're naked, there are several figures involved in each of these scenes. So there's a lot to indicate that those reports were initially true, but at this point it's going to require a little more authority stepping in and telling us exactly, looking at the metadata and telling us exactly where these pictures were taken. But there's certainly a lot of imagery and videos to confirm that there were certainly a lot of sex and drugs involved, and they look European, but we cannot be certain at this moment.
The word family mean to you?
It's a lot of time together. It's like we've grown up together. He's made sure that every single tradition, every holiday, we're all together.
A new civil rights cause of action for those whose intimate images were shared on public screen. How many times have you heard? I bet everybody knows somebody somewhere along the line that in an intimate relationship, what happened was the guy takes a revealing picture of his naked friend or whatever in a compromising position, and then literally in a sense blackmails or mortifies that person. Send it out, put it online.
I don't know, yes or no, if the laptop
I don't have
was
any
yours.
idea. I have no idea.
So could have been yours.
Of course, certainly. There could be a laptop out there that was stolen from me. There could be that I was hacked. It could be that it was Russian intelligence.
We've all seen the pictures. Look on my channel, you will find them.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. As if this country's core institutions have not been degraded or diminished enough with pregnant flight suits and FBI that behaves like Nancy Pelosi's Praetorian Guard, as if that weren't bad enough, Joe Biden announced in January his plan to choose the next Supreme Court justice on the basis of appearance. The Supreme Court. You never thought that would happen. Sociology department, maybe. Your company, perhaps. But the Supreme Court really matters. What does appearance have to do with ability or fealty to the Constitution? Joe Biden never explained. He'd indicate, to be fair, that he would prefer a lawyer for the job, maybe even a clever one. But mostly he said he wanted a black woman, genetics being the single most important factor in what we used to call judicial temperament. How does that work exactly? How do genes determine your ability as a Supreme Court justice or a surgeon or an airline pilot or anything else? We would love to hear Joe Biden explain that, but he didn't. Instead, he embarked on a predictably short nationwide search for such a candidate and located in the end a person called Ketanji Brown Jackson. Her confirmation hearings continue today for the second day. Not surprisingly, given how she got this job, most of the talk in Washington was not about what she's done, how she thinks, what she's like as a person, but instead about how she looks. It's not shallow or anything. Here's the shallowest of all, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey.
I could not stop being just joyous that you were sitting in my office, and I couldn't stop bringing up to you the historical nature of this. Forgive me, I grew up in a small black church where I was taught to make a joyous noise unto the Lord, and this is not a normal day for America. We have never had this moment before.
I grew up in a small black church. No, you didn't. Another lecture about the black experience from a blue-eyed Yale graduate who in fact grew up in an all-white town, the son of IBM executives. Is there anyone on this planet phonier than Cory Booker? To her credit, Ketanji Brown Jackson doesn't seem quite so fraudulent. That would be impossible. But she does, and this is the key, share a resume that is strikingly similar to Cory Booker's. Daughter of academics, graduate of Harvard College and Harvard Law School, on the board of the single wokest day school in Washington, D.C., et cetera, et cetera. You know exactly how that story turns out. Because in the end, when they tell you you're getting a black nominee, they're not talking about the son of a maid and a farm worker from Pinpoint, Georgia. In fact, we already have a Supreme Court justice like that. His name is Clarence Thomas. He's a great man, even if no one in Washington will acknowledge that. No, what they mean when they tell you you're getting a black Supreme Court justice is that you're getting yet another Democratic Party robot with the same rigid and totally predictable views as your average professional class white liberal, but who happens to be tanner than Joe Biden. So identical to everyone else in power, just a different shade. And the shade, to be fair, does make all the difference. That's the whole point of the exercise. Because of the way that she looks, Brown Jackson, who again is just a garden variety white liberal in what she believes, but because of the way she looks, this nominee will get nowhere near the vetting of a typical Supreme Court justice. And that, whatever your politics are, is a shame. As Ruth Marcus of the Washington Post put it 4 years ago when Democrats were baselessly accusing a Republican nominee of rape, quote, when a Supreme Court seat is on the line, the court and the country deserve the benefit of the doubt, not the nominee. All right, we're kind of on board with that, actually, but that was yesterday's standard. Today, not surprisingly, that same newspaper, Jeff Bezos' personal newspaper, announced a new position. The Post put it this way in a headline: how low will the GOP go in taking on Ketanji Brown Jackson? Pretty funny. It's low to ask questions of a Supreme Court nominee. But we're not deterred. We believe in standards on this show. The Supreme Court, of course, one of the most powerful institutions in the world. Joe Biden did not create the Supreme Court. Previous generations did hundreds of years ago. He does not own it. He merely inherited it for a short time. And so the rest of us have an interest in who sits on it and who interprets our Constitution. Joe Biden, sounding maybe a touch defensive, has described Ketanji Brown Jackson as one of this country's great legal minds. And we certainly want to believe that for real, given that she's probably going to be confirmed no matter what we think. The question is it true? Is she really one of this country's great legal minds? One way to know, one indication would be her LSAT scores. The LSAT is not a knowledge test. It measures logic and reasoning ability, and no one doubts it's an accurate measure of those things, which predict legal skills. And that's why top law schools have long used that test. But they become apoplectic if you dare to repeat what they say. What's the message here? Shut up. You're not allowed to talk. No more insolence, serf. Sorry, not playing along. Thankfully, in the hearings today, a few senators did manage to ask relevant questions. Here's Josh Hawley.
United States versus Hawkins. This was a child pornography case where the defendant distributed multiple images of child porn, possessed dozens more, including videos. The federal sentencing guidelines recommended a sentence of 97 to 121 months in prison. Prosecutors recommended 24 months in prison. Judge Jackson gave the defendant 3 months in prison.
Well, that's pretty serious. Why did you do that, Judge Jackson?
The guideline was based originally on a statutory scheme and on directives, specific directives by Congress at a time in which more serious child pornography offenders were identified based on the volume, based on the number of photographs that they received in the mail. And that made total sense before, when we didn't have the internet, when we didn't have distribution. But the way that the guideline is now structured, based on that set of circumstances, is leading to extreme disparities in the system because it's so easy for people to get volumes of this kind of material now by computers.
Now, we'll just concede up front, we are not world-renowned legal minds, okay, or even technically lawyers on this show. But we're going to try to understand what the judge just said. So Congress has passed a law saying possessing a lot of kiddie porn is a very serious crime. And then an invention, the internet, comes along and makes it easier to collect a lot more kiddie porn. So according to noted legal mind, Ketanji Brown Jackson, that somehow makes the act of possessing a lot of kiddie porn less bad. In other words, since the internet makes it simple, we're not going to punish you as much.
Right. Americans are very upset. That's an understatement. No one elected Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to be president. As a matter of fact, Joe Biden was elected president because he said he was a moderate. They said they back to life is normal, and Lord knows they're kind of giving that to us. But they have to recognize that, and yet you have to give them credit. In the face of everything, they will not stop. They're like the angriest dog in the world, right? They're pulling on that chain, and they want what they want. But this is the problem, is that it's not based in reality. It's not based on what's best for this country, and it's dangerous. My goodness, what more do they need to see to recognize that the American people don't want what they're selling? We are rejecting what they're selling. And yet they do not care. This should be a lesson for all of us about what is driving these particular individuals. All of their plans and the part that's been implemented, like the war on fossil fuels, has in part led us to this point, which is inspiring the enemies that we have around the world.
Tell you a secret. Most people don't really know what capitalism is. Most people don't even know what socialism is. But most people are not capitalists because they don't have capitalist money. They're not billionaires.
Woman who excels at them and is one of the leading Democrats, Nancy Pelosi. My goodness, let's have a listen to the Speaker of the House.
But they know that we can't go there. Putin is trying to bait the trap so that we go in, and that's the beginning, could be the beginning of World War III. Putin totally irresponsible using weapons that are not allowed under the Geneva Convention. Putin, who threatens use of chemical weapons, nuclear, and the rest. So they know that we can't, but it's the ask. Now, he was this morning more. If we can't have a no-fly zone, let us have our own.
Now, we've all noted Biden's cognitive decline, but what in God's name is happening with Nancy?
It's no better, is it, Rita? It's really worrying. American politics is a sort of strange gerontocracy. In both parties, it has to be said. I mean, in most countries, by the way, in recent years, certainly countries like France, Germany, Britain, and I think Australia to an extent, we've sort of fetishized young people in politics. You know, everyone always wants a fresh face. And of course, sometimes a fresh face has something to be said for it, but of course, experience has something to be said for it as well. So you could say that some countries went a bit too far into the sort of, let's have a fresh face, new face. Canada, for instance. Not that Justin Trudeau can be said to be that fresh or new, but a lot of countries sort of went that way. America has not. America has decided that you really can't be anything in public office unless you're turning 80. The octogenarian class still runs America, and as we saw in Nancy Pelosi again this week, it has some very weird effects. We know the tendency of Joe Biden to lose his train of thought. We know the tendency of Donald Trump to sometimes lose his train of thought as well. But Nancy Pelosi is an absolute world leader in it, and of completely bizarre behavior. You might remember last year when the man who killed the policeman who killed George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, was sentenced. Nancy Pelosi came out on the steps in Washington and with members of the Black Caucus of the Democrat Party and fully masked. Nancy Pelosi looked up at the sky and she said, "Thank you, George Floyd. Thank you for sacrificing your life for justice." Which was such a weird thing to say, as if George Floyd sort of set out that morning hoping to do something really great for his country. It was as she gets older. At one point, she threw herself up so fast she almost fell over the podium and had to sort of steady herself. And then there was she did this weird knuckle rubbing like a girl on Christmas morning about to get presents. And she did this and got up and grinned manically. And Joe Biden was talking about burn pits. And she didn't at all stop the old knuckle rubbing happy girl on Christmas morning thing. She just sat down still rubbing away. And then this week week we had the great thing of her reading of the latest work by Bono, the interminable poem about St. Patrick and the snakes, and then and finished with an attempt to rhyme something with Zelensky.